Hey, is it working? Yeah. That is bright. Okay, guys. I know it's been a while since I made a post. I wanted to make one. I'm gonna try and change up the way I'm posting things, but since I haven't done the new way either, I said go ahead and make a post. Since it's been a while and keep you updated. You know I'm recovering. Not much has changed. A few things have, I guess. Sorry. Excuse me. Can't turn the camera on and off easily, so I just have to deal with my coughing. But it's actually, I'm not sick. I just had some of that super dry powder candy. Feels like it's stuck in my throat. Anyway, all right. Well, I did angle this wrong. Sorry, guys. That's not the right angle either. I'm having repeated attacks of the hiccups. I don't know if that's associated with recovering from injury or something, but boy, since I get the hiccups like 2 or 3 times a day since I've been recovering. I don't know if it's affected one of these drugs or something. It's crazy. Okay, anyway, sorry, this is an update. Still got my arm in a cast. I mean, it's not a cast, in a sling. My foot, I don't know if I can turn this angle it down right. My foot's still got a nice size wound on it. It's just, I guess you'd say a flesh wound. I don't know if it counts as that. It's a little deep, and so it's taken a while to heal, but it's not I had an x-ray, it's not the bone. It should be fine after the cut heals up with the wound, whatever. And I was going to go out and try and find some Neosporin today. I don't know if that's really recommended for giant size wounds, but I've been just keeping it hydrogen peroxide on it and bandaged up, and so I was like, well, I really need to put some medicine on it. It might help it heal faster. Might also help get rid of the swelling in my foot. That could be from infections, I don't know. I don't know how any medical thing works, so I just guess at everything. But that's it for healing. I went back to work about a week ago, and I've been doing just individual classes at different places, people I know. And I'm getting about 10 hours a week out of it, which, you know, is enough to get by here in Vietnam for the standard pay, so that's good. I should, I was going to say, if I can keep those up, then I'll be able to pay rent next month without help, and so that'll be good. Or I should say that would be good, except I got a message this morning, that I lost one of those teaching jobs because the parents don't. We'd have to go into a whole thing about like how different the cultures are and things, but and I suspect that this could be true in China. Although I had gout there too, and I didn't get this problem. But I always suspected it might happen, which is to say, the parents don't think that somebody with a physical problem should teach children. Like, in other words, don't let cripples near my kids. It's what they're saying. So if you're in a wheelchair, you're already screwed in Vietnam because nothing's wheelchair accessible. But yeah, if you're someone with permanent disability, and then you're not okay to teach kids, there's no logic behind it, like a lot of the beliefs here. But it is a belief, and so yeah, so she called and she said the parents don't want you teaching them anymore. And to be honest, I didn't like the lady anyway that does the school. She's one of these classroom micromanagers. Like, she hires a teacher, and then to sit and watch the class is perfectly reasonable. Of course, you hire a teacher, you want to watch the class and make sure they're doing a good job, and even give some pointers. But she's one of these type. And I worked for a whole year for somebody in Yueyang when I was in China, who is exactly like this. she hires you, and then she sits in the classroom and corrects everything you do, like even stuff that's just irrelevant. Like the way I was grading papers one day. We just did a little quiz in class, and I was where I would normally walk around to the kids and check and put a check mark on the papers. It was easier for me to sit at the front desk and have them come up, which a concept they did not grasp. And you know what? That's a time when they learn how to behave in class. That sort of thing is not valued. I'm going to say here. A lot of times I conflate China and here. There's definitely differences in the culture. They're not the same, but there are also a lot of similarities. And so when I see some similarities, I assume that my 5 years in China is also relevant here. When I see something that is. And so anyway, like teaching kids how to behave in class and how to be a good student, that is not valued. At least not in the private system. These after schools things where the parents think that they can just send the kids to school for 24 hours a day and it's helping out, which I disagree with entirely anyway. But anyway, so that's not valued because that's not English. Except it is English because the kids have to learn what I'm saying, right? They have to learn they have to grasp what's going on in order to get instructions, which is one of the most important parts of learning a language. To be able to hear something and internalize what it means so that you can react to it. Okay, so anyway, when I sat down and I said one person come up, of course, the whole classroom tries to come up. Everybody sit down. I call the next person, the whole classroom tries to come up. They just don't have that sort of discipline in their heads, and it's not something that they want to teach here. So anyway, that's the way I was doing it, and it was easier for me, and quite frankly, I had rushed through the class because I forgot it was an hour and a half instead of an hour class, so we were done with our material. And I was like, okay, fine, we can just, we can do this, and then if we get through me grading these quizzes for them, then we can play a game at the end. And she had not been in the classroom the whole time. And then she comes in, this is just the part of where I'm venting. And then she comes in, like, in the middle of it, and this is what pisses me off. Just in the middle of the class, she had nothing to do with class, didn't know what was going on. She goes, "Oh, are you grading it all them individually?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, don't do it that way." And I just slammed the pen down on the desk. I was just like, "Everybody sit down. We're finished. We're not grading them at all." I don't know if that had anything to do with why she found somebody else to do the next class, but I really don't care. I can't stand being around her, and I don't like people like that. If she wants to tell me later that she didn't think that was the great way to do it, fine. But do not micromanage my class. That is so irritating. You hired me to be a teacher, and you can either hire me to be the assistant, where I'll just stand around and do what you want to do, or hire me to be the teacher, and I'll run the class. But we can't split the difference. Especially since she sends next to no material before the class starts. Anyway, so I had that lady in Yueyang did that too. I remember she would stand there and literally, and I spent a year in that place. I was so glad to be out of it. She would literally tell me where to stand and where to point in the middle of the class. She's like, "Point at this," and I probably did handle it wrong, to be honest, but I got to say I was fresh back from the United States. I spent 6 months without a job, and I didn't want to have to go out and look for another one. And that incentive was powerful for me, enough for me to just go, you know what? It's your school. I'll do whatever you want me to do, but you can't ask for something to be up and down at the same time. So I was just terrible in those classes, and it was on purpose. Because if you're going to sit there and tell me everything that I'm going to do for the entire class, then I'm not going to do anything on my own. As soon as she stopped giving instructions, I would just stand there and put my hands behind my back and stare at her. I'm like, you can either tell me everything I need to do to run this class, if that's what you want to do, or you cannot. Don't split the difference. because she would jump in and tell me where to say my point, and even correct my English, and correct it with like the worst Chinese accent in the world, where she can barely be understood, and she's like repeating it to get me to say it like she's saying it. And I'm like, you really don't know why I'm here at all, do you? But she's just a control freak, and that's not uncommon actually in schools. I'll go ahead and be sexist here and say, especially among women. I mean, at least in this part of Asia. And the weird thing is, like, it's the complete opposite with men. You have to, if it's a male owner of the school, you have to struggle to get him to have any interest at all in what's happening. They just do not care. And it's like, whatevs. Everybody let it happen. Just enjoy. The last time I worked with Frank in China, he used to say, I just work here, don't ask me. And I was like, that's funny, except you own the place, so not really funny, because you need to be making these decisions. But anywho, that's 11 minutes of me venting. That's why I do these. He was doing these daily. So I'm going to try and go back to doing these once a week. But I think I'm going to stop making them public and just send them to the people that I know when I see them. And then I'm going to work on creating something on a different channel on YouTube. But I don't really know how that works, so I have to look into that. And that stuff will be more like a real travel vlog. I don't expect it to be a high quality travel vlog at first, but one of the things was that I was happy about getting these extra jobs was I'll be able to buy a real camera and actually shoot some of this stuff. But anyway, so I lost one of them. We'll see what happens. With the speed at which I got them after the accident, strangely, all this time I've been here, not getting any classes, full-time or part-time classes. And then it's like, as soon as I got the accident, people were like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you got the accident. Here, you want this job at this school? Here, you want to do this class? I mean, you want to do this class twice a week, at least twice a week, something? And I'm like, why is people sending it to me now? Now's the time when I can't even get out of bed. So that's why I started last week. I was like, okay, I'll get back to this. But now the woman doesn't want me there, which is double stupid because she knew I'd been in an accident. I told her I couldn't walk well and my arm was in a sling. That's why I think it may be because I was just fed up with her that day. And all I did was slam the pen down on the desk too. Like, there was not a discussion. But that's kind of the way it goes too. She wouldn't say anything directly to me. But again, it's all for the best, because if I had to spend too much time around her, I would pull my hair out. And I'll probably drop her. I have one class left with her now. I'll probably drop that class when I get enough classes, other classes, that it's feasible to do it. Yeah, I don't like working with her. That's not okay. Anyway, so getting to these classes is very expensive because I have to take a car now. When my foot's better, I could take a bike, but I kind of feel like I should wait till the arm is better too, because I mean, just a light slam on the brakes, or in traffic, and I'll slam into the guy in front of me, which normally would be fine, but with the arm in the sling, that's just gonna hit my arm, and probably even if it didn't cause damage, it would be very painful, and I would say, boy, it sure would have been worth it to be in a car right now. But the cars, I mean, I'm making like $500 for an hour-long class, and spending $200 of it to get there and back. So it's not it's not working out great right now. But I'll be able to get by, and also, I mean, once by November, early November, I should be able to take the brace off, and hopefully be normal, and then I can get not my own bike. I don't really want to drive my own bike. I don't want to drive the one I have now, the one that Terry bought for me, because it's still not. It has some problems that probably contributed, some tiny percentage to the cause of the accident. But yeah, I see no big advantage to driving that thing, and obviously there's a big detriment. I'm sorry, I'm cutting my head off. I just can't hold the thing because my arm's so tired. Anyway, what else? I'm at 15 minutes. I really got to the point. So sorry, I'm going to go over a bit. I did miss a couple of posts. So the main point is I'm doing better physically. Financially, it's looking good. Maybe not great yet, but good. Again, as long as I can maintain this, like 10 class hours a week, then I should be all right. That should be enough to pay for food and rent. I haven't budgeted out yet because I just now really I started working these jobs. 2 of them are for the e-language, so hopefully I'll keep those. And that is really just Terry's generosity because I've only got a handful of students in both of them together, unfortunately. Other than that, you know, I think I am going to be able to make it financially because there's not a lot of competition. That's another reason I'm not too worried about this woman that says, oh, you know, the parents don't like you, so you can't have that class anymore. So what? You know, there's 1 million EU, and there's not very many of me left. You know, there's no international travel. And the people that are here, that are left here, the teachers, English teachers, they've all already got jobs. They're not looking for little stuff like that. So every little job that pops up at a school like these after school programs, they all want an English teacher, and yeah, not many out there. So that should be pretty good. It's honestly, it's still, even in this situation, is not as good a job prospects as there were in China. And I'm going to suggest small towns as a secret. If anybody's thinking of coming to Asia to teach, don't be trapped into thinking that you should go into one of the big cities. A smaller town is going to be a bigger adjustment culturally because there are people here in Hanoi that I know that live in a complete foreigner bubble. I'm much more likely to go get, and I was pretty likely to go get fast food, you know, Western style fast food before. I do it all the time now, even though I really love Vietnamese food, but there are certain difficulties right now that make it easier to just order a burger in. Although I may go get lunch at the place next door, the Vietnamese place. So that one's pretty easy, and they'll send me a to-go and I can bring it back here. Anyway, so then the big news. Terry just left. Americans got accepted for visas, exempted, I meant to say, for visas. Oh, hold on. Yeah. That's Terry's car. I thought he'd gone, actually. I figured he'd already made it out. But, yeah, he's got a car to the border. That's got he didn't take the train. May not be running. But he said he didn't want to. He likes to ride the car. So he's got a nice car. It's him getting in. Taking it to the border. He's headed up. So anyway, Americans got exempted from extending their visas this month. No telling what's going to happen for November on that. But all the other foreigners did not. So he's off to China. It's about a 3-hour drive, if I recall. Okay, well that makes it too long of a one-post video. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've done it, so please forgive me for going over my 15-minute limit, which I arbitrarily imposed on myself, but I think it's a good limit, a good attention span limit. So off he went. He's got to go back to China. Forget what, I thought he had until the 10th. I'm going to tell you it's the 10th. Yeah, that sounds right. Today's the 10th. Anyway, so he's up to the border today, and he's going to cross into China. And as far as we know, he will. As soon as he gets across, they're going to give him a COVID test, and I hope he studied for it. Sorry. They're going to give him a COVID test, and I'm sure he's negative because it's not in Vietnam. And then he will be escorted to a hotel where he will sit in a room for 2 weeks. So he has a nice view. That would, you know, I think I could handle it if I had a good view. Great TV, look at this. And then he will go to Guangzhou, and sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to see if I can't get Frank in Chenzhou to like get my stuff together. I mean, I think he's already together because they already put somebody else into that apartment. So wherever my stuff is and whatever material I've got, Terry's going to go up and meet Frank and pay a shipping company to send it down to the border. I think to the border town where he's going to be staying. We have a friend that works that we met here. He's Chinese and he went back a couple months ago, and he's from Sichuan, but he works for a logistics company, so they're just going to get it sent to the border, and then at the border, I guess something else happens. To be honest, I mean, I'm unclear on how this works, but it's the only way I'm going to get any of my stuff back. And so then it has to come across the border and be sent down here. And hopefully I'll have money for that when that happens. But I'm not holding my breath, to be honest, because who knows? This year is so crazy. So crazy. And that's it. That's the big news. Terry went home. Oh, and after he gets my stuff, his whole purpose in life is not to get my stuff. He has business to do in Guangzhou and Shenzhen, and has for months, and so he's got to go there, both of those places, and then he's got to go to Hong Kong because that's where his family is, and hopefully have a nice visit with his family. I'm not 100% sure, but I think when you cross from China into Hong Kong, you also need to go into a hotel for 2 weeks. Crazy. So that's a whole month between now and, well, whenever he gets it done, that he's just going to be sitting in hotels. This is why there's no business travel now. It just isn't worth it. It doesn't pay off in the end. But he had to leave here anyway, so in a sense, he had to get back across the border into China. And he can stay in China as long as he wants, but his family's in Hong Kong. I'm sure he wants to get down and see them as soon as he can. And because he hasn't seen them all year, he's cool about it. He doesn't say anything, but he talks to his daughters every day for like hours every day on the internet. And so I know he wants to get back and see them. He just doesn't talk about it, but that's got to be killing him. So he's finally going to get back there, and what happens then? His school just got licensing, so they're progressing along the path of being able to get work visas, and when they can, he will come back here. He's still got a school here. And then we continue to wait till the rest of the world opens up, because the whole thing that he's been wanting to do is to get me involved in his business in Myanmar, which I'm perfectly happy with, because you see the frustration I get from schools, never from the kids. The kids I expect to act like kids. I don't have any issues with them. But boy, dealing with adults in the school, in the education industry, and sometimes it's just the fact that it's an industry that's so old and people have such strong opinions on it, and you can't tell them hey, that's not really the right way to do that. You're kind of doing it wrong. It just does not fly, and you can't get any progress. And then they're asking you to do things that are just absurd and impossible. For example, teach these 2-year-olds as if they're in a college class. Have them sit in rows and do things, and it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. I don't know, what they're thinking. What they've seen is, on rare occasions, and probably more on YouTube than anything else, is one teacher that's just so amazingly entertaining that they, sing and dance and stand on their head, and the kids just stay completely enraptured. And even those videos are not a 40-minute class. That teacher that's doing great for the 5-minute video they watch, that teacher is not keeping 2-year-olds enthralled for 40 minutes. That just does not work. Doesn't work that way, and it's not even the best way to teach them. It's a stupid way to teach them. It's a fine way to teach them for a couple of minutes, but then they're going to be distracted. You got to give them toys, songs, a different thing. You got to have a constant flow of new things for them to do, and the only way for them to do, not for them to watch. You know, spectating is something you do when you get older. Little kids don't do that. They do that for 30 seconds and then they're off to something else. It doesn't matter how entertaining it is, they'll get up and wander away because they can't hold their attention. It's just not out. Anyway, this was a long post. Sorry, I'll edit down and trim it a bit, but my goal is to start doing this every week. I'm still in recovery, and a lot of when like in the past week, I didn't post because I was just so busy. Like busy for my current condition. Like, it takes me a long time to do everything, so I was like preparing for a class for half a day, whereas normally it would take me half an hour. You know. Anywho, let's change the lighting on the silhouette. Okay, there we go. All right, I'll talk to you guys next week, hopefully.